Well, as you saw in the last video, I happen to be in Portland, Maine right now. And from what I understand, whenever you come to Maine, one of the things that you have to have is lobster. I've never really spent any time in Maine, and I've never had lobster, but whenever I was looking online last night and looking at the different menus from different restaurants, I noticed that next to lobster tail, it kept saying market price, which really scares me. I mean, you're talking to a guy who, on trips like this, I only eat one meal a day just to save money. So market price seems a little uncertain to me. But I did find a place not too far from here that serves up a lobster grilled cheese sandwich. And I don't know how much it is, but I figured we'd go and check it out, see what we got. Alright, so the Maine lobster and Swiss melt market price. That kind of scares me. Okay, so it turns out the Maine lobster and Swiss melt barely falls within my budget. So we're gonna go ahead and roll with it and see what a lobster grilled cheese sandwich tastes like. All right, well that rolled out actually pretty quick. So we got ourselves some chips. Let's take a peek inside this thing. Wow, that is gooey. And yep, I do see some lobster meat in there. Ooh. All right. Not bad. Okay, well, here is my post-sandwich analysis. Not bad. Tasted pretty good. Probably the messiest sandwich that I've ever ate in my life. I think the juice from the lobster, man, that is one crazy loud bird, but the juice from the lobster really made the bread kind of soggy. But it was good. I don't know if I would pick it over, you know, like beef or, you know, a fried backstrap or anything like that, but it was good. It was good. So tomorrow we're going to head out and got a pretty cool place with a lot of history behind it that I'm pretty anxious to see. One of my favorite movies whenever I was growing up was The Last of the Mohicans, which is a movie that's based on the book by James Fenimore Cooper, and is set against the backdrop of the French and Indian War, which is also known as the 7 Years' War. The 7 Years' War, the French and Indian War, started in 1756 and went until 1763. And I'm not going to get into all of the details of it, but in short, the French and the British were both, you know, colonizing the North American continent. The British had the 13 colonies and they were looking to move west. The French were up in what is now Canada and were looking to move south, and they were kind of bumping into each other, and it resulted in this conflict. Well, today I am in Maine, and it's kind of chilly, but we are at a place that I really wanted to see because it's going to be the first time that I've been able to visit a site that is connected with the French and Indian War. Pretty cool. Like I said, I'm in Maine right now, and this river that we're looking at right here is called the Sebasticook River, and we're at the exact point where it flows into the Kennebec River. I think I'm pronouncing both of those correctly. Well, before, you know, modern times, it was really, really important in warfare to be able to take control of the waterways. If you control the waterways, you control the flow of troops, you control the supply chains and commerce. So during the French and Indian War, it was really important to both sides to be able to occupy this ground. So the British commissioned the building of a fort right here between these two rivers in order to try and prevent any of the French or their Native American allies from coming down the Kennebec River Valley right up here where I'm looking right now. Now, the fort that was commissioned to be built right here at this site was called Fort Halifax. And, you know, with it being a wooden fort and with it having been built in the 1750s, you would of course expect that there wouldn't really be anything left. But there is one piece of this fort that still remains, and it is the oldest wooden blockhouse in all of the United States. Well, there you go. This is, like I said, the oldest surviving wooden blockhouse in the United States. It's not very often, especially in, you know, my part of the country, to see something this old, and to see a structure that has ties to the French and Indian War is really pretty incredible. So, like I said earlier, there's the Sebasticook River right there. So I'm guessing that the walls of the fort, like this would have occupied a corner of the fort. So I'm guessing that there's a wall that would have went out right here, and then a wall that would have went out like right here in this area. But man, for that to have been built in the 1750s and still be surviving today is pretty incredible. And you can see, you know, they have like these little windows, they're also called loopholes, where the soldiers that were manning this fort could shoot out of. And it looks like we're locked up here, so we can't go inside. But man, that is really cool. Okay, now we can't go inside, but they do have a window. So here's a little peek inside the bottom level of the blockhouse here. So, wish we could go in, but at least we can look in the window. So they have a little information panel here that tells a little bit about the fort, and they also have this picture here. Might give you a better idea of what this would have looked like whenever it was functional and in its heyday in the 1700s. Now, the French and Indian War ended with a British victory, but it came at a heavy financial cost for the British. As a matter of fact, I think that it ended up doubling their national debt. So to help pay for the war, they ended up levying a bunch of taxes against the American colonists. And as it turns out, the one thing that Americans like even less than taxes is taxation without representation. So of course this led to the American Revolution. And Fort Halifax, there wasn't a whole lot of involvement as far as the Revolution goes, but there was a gentleman by the name of Benedict Arnold who ended up staying here on his way up towards Quebec during the Revolution. So there's a little bit of a cool tie in there. So anyway, this is kind of a neat place. Like I said, there's not much here, but to see a place that has ties to the French and Indian War, and also, you know, to see the oldest surviving blockhouse in the United States, yeah, it's worth the trip over here. All right, we're off to the next place.